Well, welcome. Happy Friday to another episode of More Than Rubbing. I am your host, Ashley Renee, and I have someone special with me. I have mayoral candidate Pastor Timothy E. Findley Jr. with me from
Thank
Louisville,
you.
Kentucky.
Glad to be here.
Kingdom Fellowship,
Yeah.
Life Christian Center. It's a
Yeah.
long title, but we are here, and this is like politics 101 for me, okay? And those who have the right to vote, we exercise our voting rights, but we're still clueless on what we are voting for. And Pastor Tim is going to make this simple for us.
Attempt to make it simple.
Attempt. So we're not going to speak over your heads. We're not going to make this harder than what it really is. But first, tell us a little bit about yourself. Everybody already knows who you are, I think.
Maybe.
Okay.
So I
Who
am
is you?
Tim Findley Jr., native of Louisville. Actually grew up maybe 5 to 7 minutes from here.
Okay.
I'm the proud pastor of Kingdom Fellowship Christian Life Center, the CEO of Life Development Corporation, father of one daughter, 20-year-old.
He's a girl dad,
Yeah,
ladies.
I'm a girl dad. Kendall Findley, who is at work now. I'm actually leaving here and going to bum some food off of her at Drake's.
Okay.
And yeah, running for mayor, and just passionate about my community, passionate about people, and looking forward to what I believe is going to be a shift in our city with this particular election, and not just this election, but statewide.
How is this going to be a shift in the statewide election?
Well, both state and local, we've got challenges.
Okay.
I'll start with local.
Okay.
We've had, the same mayor, obviously Mayor Fisher, for the last 12 years.
Yeah, and I think we're all tired of him.
And there's been a lot. There's been a lot of things that have transpired over the last 2 years, obviously, but it didn't start with the last 2 years. And I'm a former employee of Metro government.
Oh, okay. See, that part I didn't know.
Yeah, as of 2020, I stepped out of that role, but I was previously the faith-based liaison in the Office of Safe and Healthy Neighborhoods. So I've worked with this administration. And again, I think the challenge has been we've had transparency issues, among many other things as well. And you're right, I think people are ready for a shift. This coming election locally, May 17th, this primary, is is the most consequential election in our lifetime. What happens next? Either we're going to continue on with the same type of leadership, or we're going to go in a fundamentally new direction. I am vying to become the first Black mayor in the history of Louisville. So when people ask me, well, what makes you different than Mayor Fisher? Well,
yeah, what makes
number
you
one is
different?
I'm
You're
Black. So, and
obvious.
but not just in terms of race, because obviously, Clarence Thomas. So there's that. But I'm from this city. I've lived the lives of many people in this city. I've been a tireless advocate in terms of community and justice. My perspective, my sort of moral center, my spirituality is different than anyone we've seen in that particular role. It's not to say that other mayors throughout history have been somehow evil. I'm sure many of them have been.
Yeah,
but
if you ask me, just politics is crooked.
Yeah, politics can be very, very crooked.
Because of my moral compass. There's a lot of things that happen that to me are inhumane.
Absolutely.
And so I have a hard time even trying to have a conversation and vote.
Yeah. Well, and the thing about it is, especially when we talk about here in Louisville, Kentucky, the vote really does matter. And I think culturally, when it comes to Black and brown communities, especially because we don't have a strong political culture where we're engaged in politics, sometimes we're sort of disassociated with it. And because of that, oftentimes we are suffering the consequences of people in these roles that are not good for our communities, and not good for the city of Louisville.
No.
And we're trying to change that, myself and others, in terms of engagement and involvement. And I think that representation is so important. So when you talk about having the first Black mayor, a son of the city, one of the things that I fantasize about is being able to, step through that goal, and then going to middle school, elementary, middle, and high schools as the first Black mayor and saying, you can do this too, and setting off some things that I think our city desperately needs.
And what do we desperately need?
We need change.
What's the change?
We need focus on, so for instance, Louisville is one of the most segregated cities in America.
How is it? Well, visually, it doesn't seem segregated. How
well,
is it segregated?
It depends. When you think of the West End, you think of
Black people.
When you think of St. Matthews, you think of
the rich white people.
So on and so forth. We could keep doing that.
Yeah.
That's not to say that there aren't Black people in this area and white people in that area.
Right.
But again, by and large, and this is statistically speaking, this is an opinion. As a matter of fact, I believe it, according to the 2019 study, we were number 5 most segregated city. But it's not just segregation. In 1969, we were 12% of the population, I think like 12.4% of the population, but we owned 4.5% of the businesses. That's in 1969. In 2021, 2022, we are 22% of the population. So we've grown.
Yeah, we have.
But businesses, we are now at 2.4%, which means that although the population has grown, our businesses have shrank. That is not accidental. So when you talk about the fact that there hasn't been the kind of, from a macro standpoint, there hasn't been the kind of attention on Black and brown businesses. And the reason why that's important is because as those businesses grow, as our community grows, it helps the entire city. When you talk about criminal justice, need I say more? Breonna Taylor, so many others. When you talk about education, I was just at the JCPS school assignment plan meeting. Marty Polio, the superintendent, talked about that this current student assignment plan, which is 40 or 50 years old, it has absolutely affected to the detriment of scores and so many other things, Black and brown communities. So I say that to say, all of these things, these aren't opinions. We have an issue in our city and we need more than just talk. We need something, we need a person and we need an administration that has an agenda to lift everybody.
All right. Well, we're going to take a break because I do want to talk about that plan and what can I do as well as others who are in my position who feel like their voice isn't being heard. What can we do? Where do we start? What's the basis? So guys, grab a snack and come right back and we'll talk about the plan. This is Ashley with More Than Rubbing, a massage therapist guide for self-help. Tune in every Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time on the Plug Network. Stay plugged in.
Yo, everybody, this is Rob Lee, and I'm inviting you to the Plug listening session on Saturday, March 26th. We're going to be listening to my debut album, Art of Flight, right here on the Plug Network. Stay plugged in.
I'm a city boy, kinda something like a pretty boy, but I like to get litty boy. I ain't soft like a litty boy.
are back with mayoral candidate Pastor Timothy E. Findley Jr. I'll have to say the whole entire name. And we're talking about plans. And I hope that he has a plan for you and me. So what's your plan?
Well, when you talk about a plan, it's multifaceted. So we've got a lot of issues in the city. So we need a lot of specific attention on those issues. The first thing and I'm proud of this, the first thing that I want to do as the mayor, and I think it's based off of my familiarity with city government and what I see just from both being on the inside and the outside, that's changed the way our government is governing. Right now.
How is it governing right
well,
now?
not efficiently.
Okay.
Right now, as a citizen, if you need services, if you need to get in touch with a particular department,
Can't get a hold of them.
You can't get a hold of them. It's very, very hard to do. And our government, I'll say, it's sprawling. It's very layered. It's not simple.
Okay.
So one of the things that I want to do, I want to go in and I want to shift the culture of city government. I want to do sort of a audit of the different departments, consolidate where there needs to be consolidation, remove where there needs to be removal.
And can we add some customer service?
Add customer service.
If I get an attitude from someone, I'm not going to be godlike. I'm not even going to lie. I'm like, look, girl.
Well, and a lot of that really, as a former employee, and knowing individuals, they're also not happy with the way that things are.
Okay. I thought they was happy the way things were and telling me no.
Not at all. So that's the first thing. I want to reorganize city government. That's a huge, huge thing. I want to address departments that I think need to re-examine what they do and why they do it. Another big part of that, when you talk about restructuring city government, I want every department to operate with an equity lens.
Okay.
So everything you're doing, it needs to come through this equitable lens in every plan that you're making. It needs to happen with equity in mind.
So more like a filter?
Absolutely, absolutely. So it's sort of like with the church. Everything that a church does is, it's through that faith lens. Well, in city government, our lens has to be equity. It has to be fairness. It has to be progressive. And those are the things that I want to make sure we're doing day one. When you talk about public safety, everybody's talking about all that's going on in the city. And yes, it's rising crime, violent crimes and murders and things of that nature that are happening. And everybody immediately goes to, we need more police, we need more policing, and all those different things. And I think that there's a conversation around policing that needs to happen. But for me, my plan includes dealing with root causes and dealing with them immediately, dealing with the fact that we have too many marginalized communities that have been stripped, divested from, dealing with community centers and sitting down and looking at, again, wage issues, dealing with the way that our public transportation is operating, all of those different things. Before I get to the law and order, we got to deal with root causes. And that's something that is very important to me. And then the last thing I'll say is this. The reason why, and I know we're going to talk about it a little bit in a few, but the reason why voting is so important, being informed in your voting is so important, because yes, we're voting for a mayor, but you're not just voting for a mayor. You're voting for the mayor and everyone behind him, him or her. You're bringing in their team.
Okay.
Who's their team?
Yeah.
What interests do they have? What corporations, what people who are disconnected from everyday Louisvillians are going to be pulling the strings?
Okay.
That's why it's very dangerous, because you can bring in someone who says all the right things, but they have the kind of people behind them that could care less about us.
That work.
So you got to make sure that what's this person's record?
Yeah.
What have they been doing the last 10 to 15 years?
Right.
Have they shown that they have a interest in the community? Because you got some folk in this race,
no interest.
You ain't heard nothing from them until they talked about running for mayor. And when I say you haven't heard anything from them, I mean in terms of their community building aspect. We've had enough wealthy businessmen, wealthy developers, politicians that have been in their roles for 37,000 years. We get all that. We need people who have an active strength in listening, people who have been vetted. But I'm thankful for people like Sadiq Reynolds at the Urban League, who endorsed me. I'm thankful for my mentors like Dr. F. Bruce Williams and Dr. Kevin Cosby, who have endorsed and support me. People like Mark Murphy, who's a cartoonist at the Courier Journal and a lawyer, a white man, who said this is the move. These are the kinds of individuals that I know and that have a proven track record in the city of being about the community. Those are the people that are with me.
Okay, and I'm glad that you pointed out that he was a white man, because even though I named this, the future is black, we still want white allies.
Oh, we
need white allies.
I was going to say, I mean, the fact of the matter is, and we've got to grasp this point, that although we talk a lot about black and brown issues and solutions, that is not to say that we ignore other communities in our city. It doesn't mean that we ignore the business community. It doesn't mean we ignore these other issues here and there and everywhere. It simply means that if we're going to see the city become the best it can be, we've got to make sure that the areas that have been forgotten for so long are lifted. And we need everybody, black, brown, white, green, yellow, it doesn't matter who you are. We all have to come together and do this. And I'm thankful that I have that kind of support.
Okay, so since you have a religious background, right? How are you going to, grab the attention of those that are not?
Well, here's the thing for me. My faith is central to the decisions that I make. Is central to how I lead. So for those who may not share the faith that I have, the one thing that I would hope that all of us agree on is that we need someone who is morally upstanding, that has integrity. And the fact is, you don't have to believe what I believe,
right?
But you still want someone who you can trust.
Yeah, and you still want someone who operates in a moral compass.
Yeah, you want to have that. So, that's one thing people ask me all the time. Well, how are you going to separate your faith and your politics? I'm not going to separate it at all. My faith is what's going to undergird. It undergirds the decisions that I make. And honestly, what becomes dangerous, and we saw that in the election with the past president, is when you try to separate those two. And all of a sudden you start putting people in office that are absolute demons.
Yeah,
and
a lot of hell breaks loose.
So we have to sound the alarm and do the Trump.
So let's ring that bell, y'all.
Sound the trumpet.
Well, we're going to come right back after this break. I may have a little fun. I don't know. It depends on how well of a player he is. So grab a snack and come right back. This is Ashley with More Than Rubbing, a massage therapist guide for self-help. Tune in every Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time on the Plug Network. Stay plugged in.
Yo, everybody, this is Rob Lee, and I'm inviting you to the Plug listening session on Saturday, March 26th. We're going to be listening to my debut album, Art of Flight, right here on the Plug Network. Stay plugged in.
I'm a city boy, kind of something like a pretty boy, but I like to get litty boy. I ain't soft like a
are back. Last segment, guys. So we're going to make this real quick. So let's start with education.
Okay.
Right? Kendall and my son Chase, same age. Did you ever have to deal with them coming home hungry from school?
Well, I never had to deal with that. Well, I take that back. They did not like the school lunch. Kendall didn't like the school lunch, so she wouldn't eat at school. But that's because Kendall's, she's a little bougie.
So is Chase. They like fast food, and I'm like, it's free.
Yeah,
eat it.
But I'll tell you, when it comes to education, when it comes to JCPS, there's several things that are going on right now that I think are, they have been problematic. Now, I'm one that I think that Superintendent Polio is doing a good job. I support a lot of the changes and reforms that he is pushing, along with obviously not all of the school board, but there are several of the school board members, and I'm very much supportive of. Of course, the wonderful Dr. Diane Porter, my friend and brother, Pastor Corey Scholl, and others. But again, it's important that people understand that JCPS and Louisville, Jefferson County, are essentially two separate entities.
Okay.
So when you talk about jurisdiction and what you can just go in and do, it gets a little sticky there. But Louisville Metro government can do a much better job as it relates to their relationship, communication, and becoming a partner and an ally of JCPS and holding JCPS accountable. So those are things that when you have a leader who is prepared to do that, communication is key. What we've been missing in Louisville is really transparent and consistent communication. We need leaders that sort of foster that. We need a mayor that fosters that. And I think that's where, from an education standpoint, we can kind of push and amplify what they're doing and what they need to do, and see greater improvement.
Nice. So are you familiar with Hippocrates?
Yes.
Do you know what his life's prescription is?
Tell me.
It is massage, eating healthy, and a workout plan.
See, I was going down the Hippocratic Oath.
And what is that?
It's what the doctors and client privilege, and can't just go out here and say different things. You take that oath, and it's a set of standards that you have to adhere to when those who are in that particular field. Is that right? Something like that?
Something like it. Yeah. Something like it. So what is your life's prescription? Because I know in one of your sermons you said you have Jesus and a therapist, or God and a therapist, right? You've also added fitness to that too.
Yes.
Let's talk about that. How has that changed your life?
Yeah, well, I'm not a spring chicken anymore. No? I turned 43. Yeah, I'm getting up there, and I understand that both spiritually and naturally speaking, health, spiritual health, physical health is so important. And I do believe that the body is a temple. And I believe that a part of my discipleship and worship to God is how I steward my body. So, the same thing that I do in terms of therapy and counseling, it's important that I do that naturally too. As a pastor, I provide a lot of spiritual guidance, and I do a lot of counseling to a certain point, and then I send them to people who are more educated in that area. So there's certain things, licensed, things of that nature. But for me personally, individually, it's just important that I model what I speak about, So yeah, it's a big one now. So Jesus, therapy, and making sure that people see that I'm serious about holistic living.
I'm all holistic. I'm all for it. So let's think back to when you were, let's say 8, 9, 10 years old, right? Your teacher walks up to you and says, hey, what do you want to be when you grow up, right? And your first response is, I want to be mayor.
No.
But no, just being that mind frame.
Yeah.
I'm 8 years old and I want to be mayor. What is your stance? What do you want to change at 8 years old?
Oh wow. The 8-year-old me is that's a different dude right there.
I bet.
I went to 9 schools in 12 years.
Oh, okay.
I was
bad.
I was just out
here. You was bad.
I was just, you know what? I was just, I don't know if I was tested, the way I should have been tested in terms of exploring my strengths.
Okay.
I'll put it like that. But 8-year-old me would have probably
mind.
said, I want to see, I grew up in a very conscious house.
Okay.
When my parents, they weren't necessarily activists or anything like that, but they were very adamant about how we treated people, and being a person that stands up for those who are being wronged. So 8-year-old me as mayor, in my idea of what a mayor would do at that time rather, would probably be somewhere around, helping people, something like that,
You know what I would do at 8?
Mm-hmm.
I want free everything.
I can see that.
I want to be like, I want the rose petals, and I want drawers open, and I want to just walk into a burger place and be like, I want that, and I have to pay for it.
Oh, see, I thought you were mean free for everybody. You're talking about free for you.
Me.
Okay.
I'm selfish and stingy. I have no problem admitting that.
So you want a free McDonald's every day?
I don't do McDonald's first of all. I'm bougie too. Okay, so let's not get that.
You wanted
twisted.
WW Cousins. Remember that old burger place?
I do remember WW Cousins. Oh my goodness. Okay, so I always tell people that ministers or those who are serving in the church are human too, right? Mm-hmm. What's on your playlist right now?
What's on my playlist right now? Well, pulling up, I was listening to Kanye and Pusha T, Diet Pepsi. So I was listening to that.
Okay, my bad.
But you know what, to be honest, definitely listen to a lot of music. I listen to different genres. Obviously, hip hop, gospel music. But to be honest, I am so into now audiobooks. My playlist is that. So I'm just listening to, and I'm not listening just to political books or spiritual books. I'm listening to just I'm a huge true crime person.
Really? So you know how to get away with murder?
So no, well, it's that the issue is that I suspect everybody. I suspect that everyone has murdered someone and they buried them in their backyard, and it's up to me to recognize the signs. So yeah.
But they always say they're the nicest ones in your neighborhood.
Those are the ones you got to watch. The really nice people. So yeah.
That's why I tell people I'm cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. You.
Okay. Well.
No. Well,
police. Right here.
Don't tell my daddy. Don't tell my daddy. Don't tell my daddy.
Shout out to your father, to Pastor Cheeks, and his lovely wife, Clarice Cheeks, and your whole family.
They keep you in line.
Listen, I love them to death. They are assets of Kingdom.
Yes, they are. Everybody loves them, and they adopted everybody, but didn't get my approval, and that's all right. That's all right.
You sound like Kendall.
I do. I don't like. I really. You know how it is growing up as a PK. You really don't like sharing your parents all the time.
Yeah, I think my parents they wanted to share me with everybody. So they wanted me to so.
Well, share with people any last words, comments where they can
I need your help.
Yeah.
How can
we help you?
I need your help. I need you to go to www.Findly for Mayor, Findley, the number 4, mayor.com. What I need are your prayers, obviously, but donations to help us to do what we're doing. And we're going to shock the world. We're going to shock the city. And I'm looking forward to being your next mayor.
We need money, y'all.
We need the money.
And I'm not talking about the one on the corner. We need money.
Yeah, we need it. We need it. Very much so. Thank you for having me, too.
Oh, thank you for coming. Like I said, I really appreciate you because I know how busy you are. And I was like, Daddy was like, he can come. I was like, what?
No, I'm glad to be here. This is great. Love the setup.
Thank you. I told you so chilling late.
Shout out to your guy on the 1s and 2s, too.
Hey,
he's out here doing it.
Omni.
Yes. Omni.
You like that, didn't you? Omni. I'm going to be your DJ Joanne. So, guys, again, hey, I'm Ashley Renee, owner of Phases Massage Therapy and More Than Rubbing. Book a massage with me and get a robe. Mm-hmm. So, y'all come back next Friday at 1 p.m. here on the Plug Network online. So, stay plugged in.
Awesome.
This is Ashley with More Than Rubbing, a massage therapist guide for self-help. Tune in every Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time on the Plug Network. Stay plugged in.
Yo, everybody, this is Rob Lee, and I'm inviting you to the Plug listening session on Saturday, March 26th. We're going to be listening to my debut album, Art of Flight, right here on the Plug Network. Stay plugged in.
I'm a city boy, kinda something like a pretty boy, but I like to get litty boy. I ain't soft like no